The Shadows of Greed. In a quiet village, an elderly couple, Yusuf and Fatima, lived peacefully in their ancestral home. Their son Rahim was a kind-hearted man who worked hard to support the family. When Rahim married a young woman named Naila, the family welcomed her with open arms, believing she would bring happiness and warmth to their home. At first, Naila appeared to be a sweet and caring woman. However, as time passed, her true nature began to reveal itself. Naila despised the humble lifestyle of her in-laws and constantly belittled them for their simplicity. She was obsessed with wealth and wanted Rahim to cut ties with his parents, hoping to claim the family's modest savings and property. Naila began to manipulate Rahim, whispering poisonous words into his ears. "Your parents are a burden," she would say. "Why should we waste our money on them when we could build a better life for ourselves?" Gradually, Rahim, blinded by his love for Naila, started distancing himself from Yusuf and Fatima. Naila's cruelty didn't stop there. She would humiliate Fatima in the kitchen, break Yusuf's belongings, and spread false stories about them to the neighbors. The elderly couple endured her mistreatment in silence, unwilling to cause a rift in the family. One day, Naila convinced Rahim to sell the ancestral home and move to the city. Yusuf and Fatima were heartbroken but agreed, hoping their sacrifice would bring peace. After the sale, Naila ensured the couple received no share of the money. They were left homeless and forced to live in a small hut on the outskirts of the village. Months passed, and Rahim began to see the change in his wife. Naila's greed only grew, and she now targeted his hard-earned income. She refused to let him send any money to his struggling parents. One day, Rahim returned home to find Naila packing her bags. "I've found someone richer," she said coldly. "I don't need you anymore." Rahim was shattered. He realized how foolish he had been to abandon his parents for a woman who cared only for wealth. Filled with regret, he rushed back to the village to find Yusuf and Fatima. He found them living in poverty but still praying for his well-being. Overwhelmed with guilt, Rahim fell to his knees and begged for forgiveness. Yusuf and Fatima embraced their son, their love unconditional despite the pain he had caused. Together, they rebuilt their lives, finding solace in each other's company. Rahim vowed never to let greed or manipulation cloud his judgment again. As for Naila, her greed led her down a lonely and treacherous path. The riches she craved never brought her happiness, and she spent her life regretting the family she destroyed. After Rahim returned to his parents, he worked tirelessly to make amends for the pain he had caused. Slowly, their small hut became a humble but happy home. The villagers, who had once gossiped about Rahim's abandonment of his parents, began to admire his transformation. Rahim started a small business in the village, a tea stall near the market. With Yusuf's guidance and Fatima's encouragement, the stall soon became a popular gathering place. Rahim was determined to provide his parents with the comfort they deserved, and his efforts were bearing fruit. One day, as Rahim was serving tea, a familiar face appeared before him. It was Naila, disheveled and penniless. Her second marriage had ended in disaster, as the wealthy man she chose had abandoned her for someone younger and wealthier. Life had been cruel to her, and she had no one to turn to. "Naila," Rahim said, shocked. "What are you doing here?" Tears streamed down her face as she fell to her knees. "Rahim, I was wrong. My greed blinded me, and I destroyed everything. Please forgive me." Rahim felt a mix of anger and pity. He remembered the anguish his parents had endured because of her, but he also saw how broken she was. He took a deep breath and said, "Naila, forgiveness is not mine to give. You hurt my parents the most. If you seek redemption, you must ask them." Rahim brought Naila to Yusuf and Fatima. Naila wept before them, confessing her sins and begging for their forgiveness. Fatima, with her kind heart, placed a hand on Naila's shoulder. "Child, life has already punished you for your actions. We forgive you, but forgiveness does not erase the consequences of your choices." Yusuf, though stern, added, "If you truly wish to redeem yourself, start by helping others. Use your experiences to guide others away from the path you chose." Naila took their words to heart. She left the village, but promised to live a life of service, helping orphans and widows in need. Over time, she found peace in giving back, though she never forgot the family she had wronged. Rahim's tea stall grew into a thriving business. He expanded it into a small restaurant, employing villagers who needed work. He became a respected figure in the community, known for his generosity and dedication to his parents. Years later, Yusuf and Fatima passed away peacefully, knowing their son had learned the true value of family and love. Rahim ensured their legacy lived on by helping others in the village, just as his parents had always done. Naila left the village with a heart heavy with guilt, but a newfound determination to change her ways. She wandered from town to town, using her skills to assist those in need. In a bustling city far from her past life, she stumbled upon a small orphanage run by an elderly woman named Sister Mariam. The orphanage was in dire condition. Its roof leaked, the children lacked proper food, and funds were scarce. Moved by the plight of the children, Naila decided to stay and help. Using what little she had learned from her time with Rahim's family, she taught the children basic skills like sewing and reading. She also reached out to local businesses and philanthropists, asking for donations to keep the orphanage running. One day, a wealthy businessman named Mr. Khan visited the orphanage. Impressed by Naila's efforts, he offered her a significant donation, but under one condition: she would have to leave the orphanage and work for him as his personal assistant. Tempted by the opportunity to escape her life of hardship, Naila hesitated. But then she remembered Yusuf and Fatima's words: redemption comes from helping others, not chasing personal gain. Naila declined the offer, choosing to remain at the orphanage despite the challenges. Her selflessness touched Mr. Khan, who decided to donate generously without any strings attached. Years passed, and the orphanage transformed into a thriving sanctuary for children. Naila became known as Mother Naila to the children she cared for, earning the respect of the community. One day, as she was overseeing the construction of a new wing, she heard a familiar voice. It was Rahim, now a successful restaurateur, who had come to the city for supplies. Seeing Naila, he was astonished by how much she had changed. "Naila," he said, "I never expected to see you here. The villagers told me about the amazing work you're doing." Naila felt a mix of shame and pride. "Rahim, I owe everything to your parents and their forgiveness. Their words guided me to this path. I can never undo the harm I caused, but I'm trying to make amends by helping these children." Rahim smiled warmly. "We all make mistakes, but it's how we grow from them that defines us. My parents would be proud of what you've become." Rahim returned to the village and shared Naila's story with everyone, including the elders who once criticized her. Inspired by her transformation, the villagers began collecting donations for the orphanage, forming a bond with the children under Naila's care. In time, Naila became a beacon of hope, proving that even the darkest hearts could find light. Though she never returned to Rahim's family, she stayed connected through her work, ensuring her redemption would not just be a personal victory, but a lasting legacy.